Hello and welcome to the Affirmative Talk Show. I am your host, Samuel Richardson III, and I have breaking news for you. The WNBA star Brittney Griner has been released from Russian custody in a high-profile prisoner swap between the United States and Moscow. Griner was detained in February at Moscow's, airport after Russian authorities said they found vape canisters with cannabis oil in her luggage. So President Joe Biden is he is scheduled to speak at 8:45 a.m. this morning Eastern Standard Time on the actual swap, and Brittney Griner has been freed from Russia. The penal colony, which was a prison that she was faced, where she had to do a lot of manual work and things of that nature. Now, let me read you, and this is actually coming from NBC News, so you know it's legit. So, what WNBA star Brittney Griner is free Thursday after the Biden administration negotiated her release from a Russian penal colony in exchange for an arms dealer, according to a senior administration official. President Joe Biden signed off on the trade, which took place in the United Arab Emirates, even though it meant leaving behind Paul Whelan, an American corporate security executive who remains jailed in Russia. Brittney Griner's wife, Cheryl Griner, was in the Oval Office with Biden, and the two were able to speak with her by phone, according to a senior White House official. As I mentioned, Joe Biden is expected to give his remarks at 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on today this morning. The move marks one of the most high-profile prisoner swaps between Moscow and Washington since the Cold War, with the Kremlin seeing the return of Viktor Bout, who Russian President Vladimir Putin has been wanting to get back and who has served 11 years of his 25-year sentence in the United States. Now, Griner's return to the United States will cap a months-long saga that began in February when she was detained at Moscow's airport after Russian authorities said they found vape canisters with cannabis oil in her luggage. She was later jailed on drug charges. The 32-year-old Phoenix Mercury player was the subject of prolonged and often public negotiations between the two countries after a trial that understood frayed relations amid Russia's war in Ukraine. Now, Biden's administration has sought the release of both Griner and Whelan. I'm telling you, I am determined to get her home, Joe Biden said, and get her home safely, along with others, I might add. Now, the CBS first reported Griner's release. Now, Whelan is serving a 16-year prison sentence after being accused of spying, which the United States has denied. People familiar with the negotiations for his release says the Russians refused to release Whelan without getting a Russian spy in return. Now, the United States insists it does not have any Russian spies in its custody and thus no one to trade to meet the Kremlin's demand. Griner's release marks a stunning turn of events from last month when she began serving a 9-year sentence at a Russian penal colony more than 200 miles east of Moscow. During her trial in July, Griner pleaded guilty but said she had no criminal intent. Griner said the canisters which she had been prescribed to treat chronic pain were packed inadvertently as she hurriedly prepared to her flight. Now, as her trial neared its end in early August, it became public that the United States put a prisoner swap offer on the table for Moscow to consider. Russia called for quiet diplomacy, but said after her sentencing that it was ready to discuss a deal. Now, the NBC's news reported that in July that the United States proposed a prisoner exchange with Russia for the release of Griner and Whelan, who has been detained since 2018. Now, that deal, two sources familiar with the matter confirmed at the time, would have included the United States releasing Bout, known as the Merchant of Death, because he was considered one of the world's largest illicit arms dealers. Bout was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison in 2012 after he was convicted of selling arms to Colombian rebels, which prosecutors said were intended to kill Americans. That's crazy, man. So the Kremlin has been demanding his release over the past decade, saying he was unfairly targeted. Now, the Washington-Moscow swap marks the most prominent diplomatic engagement between the two countries since the United States and its allies firmly backed Kyiv and condemned the Kremlin for launching a war against its neighbor in February. Now, as you see right here in this picture, this is Paul Whelan, a former U.S. Marine who was arrested for for alleged spying in 2018 during a hearing in Moscow on August the 23rd, 2019. Let me say this, man. That is somebody's husband, possibly. That is somebody's son. That is somebody's uncle. So let me say that's somebody's cousin. So at the end of the day, he's been there since 2018, and I hope he's able to find some type of way from the United States to be able to get him out of Russian prison. So, at the end of the day, Brittney Griner has been released. Let me know y'all thoughts. Put it in the comments below so y'all can let me know, how do y'all feel about her being released and the actual swap that United States had did off someone who had literally tried to set up and kill Americans in our country. If you're happy with it, put a thumbs up and like on this actual video. Comment, let me know your thoughts on it. Hit that bell notification. You can support the channel by sending me a super thanks right here on my YouTube channel, Affirmative Talk. If you would like to even donate more, go to my Cash App. It's in the caption of this video. Hit that join button to become a member, and hit that bell notification so that way you can get notified of new content coming your way. Y'all know my motto. Y'all know my motto. It is all about being the best version of yourself. So stay tuned to the next video. Take care. Peace.